with the earlier speakers on the observation that you are indeed a role model for those of us who are more inclined to toe the path of diplomacy and to be gentle and soft-spoken like yourself. However, the average Ghanaian out there, how would they be convinced that you have what it takes to balance the two, leading a ministry that will be hot, and you yourself, you are averagely soft-spoken and cool-headed? What is your biggest tool yet in your toolbox?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, this is a question that requires my overall personality inputs into a system that is often and sometimes populated with lots of agitation. I believe that if you are quiet, if you are gentle and you are thoughtful, it's easy to find answers to many, many problems. One of the greatest problems we have in this world is that where you are in confrontation with somebody and both of you are angry, you can't solve the problem. Somebody has to be thoughtful and quiet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further question?
Chairman, best wishes to him. No further question.
Thank you. I'll proceed to give the floor to Honorable Patrick Yaubama.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and congratulations to our senior colleague, Honorable Rashid Pelpo. I have 3 questions for him, and the first one, I'll proceed to lay the foundation to that question, a very important one. It's on pensions. And since the inception of Act 766, Act 766, that's the Pensions Act, as amended under President Kufuor, which significantly sought to unify all the pension regimes, including doing away with the then Cap 30. Just to refresh your memory a bit, Cap 30 has been in place since 1950 under the British Colonial Ordinance. And that's Ordinance 42, popularly known as Cap 30. The rationale and objective for the unification was, among other things, to improve retirement benefits as well as to ensure equitable contribution of all manner of employees, both government and private sector employees. To date, governments haven't been able to implement the unification program, resulting in injustice to some sections of the Ghanaian workers at the expense of others. For example, all workers under the security services do not contribute to their pensions and still enjoy the benefits under Cap 30, while employees with the civil service, Ghana Education Service, Ghana Health Service, Judicial Service, Parliamentary Service are contributing to their pensions. With this background, would you consider, as a matter of fairness and justice to all employees, to ensure the unification of this? Thank you.
Thank you. Definitely, I will consider working towards a unification, being a point of understanding that will create lesser controversy from institutions and organizations negotiating on their own at different levels. If you have a uniform and unified approach, I'll go in for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
As a follow-up, so you are assuring the good people of Ghana and the working public of this unification that we spoke about?
As I'm still not the minister, but I'm giving my own opinion. If it coincides with the thought structure of the ministry, definitely I will go in for it. Thank you.
Okay, I ask because government spends over 300 million cedis in pensions on some of these areas. And let me shoot straight to the second question, Chairman. I know you are in a rush, and we are here to work. So allow us some space to ask some of the questions, Chairman. The second one is, Rashid Pelpo is our senior colleague. He's very, very good. So let's do some business. The second question is on the single spine salary structure. And in 2009, between 2009 and 10, under Professor Mills, the president of Ghana, may so rest in peace, he inherited a single spine salary structure. For equity and fairness, and on the background of low salaries for workers, for some reason, some services such as the Judicial Service, Audit Service, the GRA have opted out of the single spine salary structure, leading to agitations from other services, particularly the civil and local government service, who went on strike so many times in 2024 because of this. I don't know if you recall. What is the NDC government going to do with regards to the new salary structure being demanded by CLOSAC, and whether or not you grant same for them?
Thank you very much. I know that this is one of the key areas of concern and still under negotiation, the review of the single spine salary scheme. And I would plead for your support. I will join my colleague Ghanaians who are within the space of the labor industry, so we can finally get to a point when a review can take place, so we can have a satisfactory response from the NDC government to the many questions posed in that request for review. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any follow-up on that, but I'll go on and ask my last question. Honorable Giselle wants me to finish my question, but I don't know what the problem is. It's on Act 651. I'm sure you are familiar with it, the Labor Act. And some employees suffer all forms of harassment and violence at workplaces. And I would want you to tell Ghanaians some of the gaps within Act 651, especially on harassment and violence at workplaces. You hear some big private sector players beating their employees, women complaining here and there at workplaces. What are some of the gaps reading through Act 651 that you've identified, that you'll be sending a proposal to Cabinet for a review of this very important act? Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, Act 651, the Labor Act, is the overall definition of our approach to labor. These issues he has mentioned are not gaps in that act. What it is our inability to implement fully the directives, the legal instruments that are found in that act. But I understand that because of changing effects of labor workplace reforms, because of issues about technology coming into our work life, and et cetera, there will be the need to look at it again to see how we can review it to commensurate with present changes and effects. And he, being a lawyer and a friend, I'm very sure with his deep interest in it, he will be a key person we can target to get resource, as a resource person in this effect to try to get the Labor Acts reviewed and maybe amended. Thank you.
Chairman, I have just a follow-up on this, maybe for a fee when I'm consulted. Will you, from what you
The bar must prosper.
Rightly so, Chairman. With all that you've said, would you consider increasing the retirement age from the civil service and the public service?
Mr. Chairman, there's a lot of talk about increasing the retirement age now. Some say up to 65, some say up to 70. They are still strong. Why should they retire? I think it should come as a result of a harmonious decision. We would need, as Ghanaians, to reconsider or to consider whether it is time for us to do so or not. A minister, somebody who is nominated and facing the possibility of being accepted or rejected, might not be able to make a strong point there. But I will go along with the many who will pose a view that there is a need for a reform, given our economy and our capacity to deal with it. Thank you.
My senior brother, congratulations. Katuma.
Oh, Abison, thank you.
Thank you very much. I proceed to recognize Hajia Ladi Ayamba, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me proceed by congratulating the nominee. I have, for not less than 30 years, observed your demeanor. I'm not surprised about it. The issue of being slow, gentle, diplomatic, and whatnot has never affected your output. So for me, I know you will do it as expected, and inshallah you will do it. By the grace of the Almighty Allah, you will do it. But there is a very simple question I want to ask. And Mr. Chairman, let me precede it by the 24-hour economy and the fact that started now. It has started.
Honorable member, address the chair. Please proceed.
So the 24-hour economy is a very laudable policy that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, I know, will ensure that it happens, it works, and it's something we are all looking up to. We are aware that the 24-hour economy will ensure job creation. One of the areas that our opponents hyped and spoke about so much was Agenda 111, which is supposed to be doing with hospitals. We have a lot of backlog of nurses and doctors waiting, and we have so many hospitals running with either 2 or 3 doctors. Even our chief compounds that have more or less turned into clinics, health posts, sometimes even hospitals, if you may take it, need more nurses or doctors. You go to a hospital and then you are told that the doctor just closed, so you have to wait for 8 hours, or you will be coming tomorrow. Will you consider, under the 24-hour economy, although the MPP hyped Agenda 111, and the president told us in his State of the Nation address that they were able to complete, the former president, sorry, they were able to complete only 3. Will you consider bringing them on board and ensuring that the 24-hour economy will make you bring in all the nurses and doctors and staff that are needed, and that you will divide the long hours being spent by this health staff to about maybe 8 hours each, so that they run shift and then they are able to attend to our people. Will you consider looking at that? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, yes, I will consider so, given the fact that we have a responsibility to create jobs and to employ our young people in these areas. Thank you.
Congratulations once more, and I wish you all the best. Be guided.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I move to Ritana Odolesowa. Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I wish to congratulate Honorable Rashid, my senior brother, for his nomination by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. Honorable nominee, there are lots of people out there looking for jobs, but sometimes we find out that children are used for certain jobs. My area of concern is children who are especially sent to go fishing, where they abandon their education. What do you intend to do about that? Thank you.
Our labor law is against child labor. And so we are going to be up and doing to ensure that the right things are done. Children are not engaged in doing adults' work. Children are not young adults. They are children. We have to respect that. We have to bring them up to grow to be responsible adults and not to degrade them by putting so much heavy load on them whilst they are still supposed to be learning. And so it is something that we can work on. It's a key area of our enterprise in the labor industry.
Thank you. You have more questions. Please go ahead and ask.
Thank you, Chairman. And before my other question, I believe we have to take a serious look at it, because when you go to the fishing communities, these activities are ongoing. Honorable nominee, in the area of employment, we have the private sector also supporting government in employing our people. But one area that is of keen interest to me is the private security. People are employed, but sometimes they are not paid according to the minimum wage. And I want to find out from you what you intend to do regarding these private security companies. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think that if we agree on a minimum wage, the law is that it cuts across every organization. You shouldn't pay below that minimum wage. So if we find anybody doing so, you'll be subject to questioning. And if you violate the law, will be prosecuted. We may not prosecute you, but it's important for you, for us to take it up to the levels where the right things are done. Ghanaians should not be cheated. We know how much the minimum wage is, just about 18.5 Ghana cedis. And if you can pay up to that, then it will bring many, many questions on your kind of organization. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. On this note, I wish to congratulate you. A lot have been said about you, and that is very true, your temperament, and I know you are going to take that into the ministry and ensure that you are going to work well with His Excellency and the people of the Republic of Ghana. God bless you.
Thank you.
Honourable members, fortified by Standing Order 2177, I proceed to recognize Deputy Whip.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to congratulate you. I think I will also join my colleagues to say that you've been not only a leader, but a father to many of us in the chamber. Chairman, my question to him, I intend not to ask you a question because you are a six-time member of parliament, a former leader of parliament, a former minister. you know, you have it all. But there was some news that I cited in some section of the media to the effect that you said youth who are unemployed in our country can go and cut grass where they breed animals or gather stones and sell where there are buildings. I want a clarification. In which context did you say so? And the first question should be if actually you said so, and if yes, in which context?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if this question were not asked, I wouldn't have been happy at all. Mr. Chairman, I was at Newsfile. I think it was 2015 or so, and Ghana was getting hot. Campaigning was on for the elections, 2016 general elections. I went to Newsfile and I was asked a question. It was about job creation and about getting people to be employed. I explained that whilst I was coming, I met a specialist, and he explained to me that everybody can work. And when he said so, he cited those examples. He said that if people are not employed, if people want to be employed, they can be employed on their own. Even if they have no education, they have no skill, they could still work. And he cited the example of a person living close to a place where buildings are being constructed. And he said, if you live within that space, that area, and you feel you are unemployed, you can create a job for yourself. He didn't say graduates, because I heard people saying, I said graduates. I never said that. So that person said, for persons who are unskilled and not educated, and you live close to a place where construction is taking place, you could gather the stones there. You could gather stones there. At the time, stones were, the trip of stones was about 1,200 Ghana cedis. And he said, if you did so, those stones could be sold and you earn something for yourself. And then he also said that if you live in a place where there are breeding animals, with such a person as I described, you could also cut grasses and sell to those people, and you will earn something. In this sense, that single person who has no education and no skill can still be employed by himself. So I cited that, and then they captured the part I was explaining that alone and used it a lot. I realized I saw it a lot in the 2016 campaign against NDC, that I said they should go and cut grasses, graduates should go and cut grasses, and then, collect stones and all that. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I know what I was talking about. And when I realized that people were misunderstanding and misusing it, I was looking for the full tape to play so people can see what I was saying. And I was also looking for the gentleman who gave me that idea to come to Joy News or Joy FM and speak about it. The man cannot be found. So when I saw him the other time, I said, you gave me this idea, I brought it up, and then I'm running into problems. You won't come and explain. I wish he were here. Do you want me to call his name? You were there when I was blaming him the other time at Alaji's house. So, Mr. Speaker, it is simply not the case that I'm saying graduates should do so. I was just quoting somebody and trying to encourage my Ghanaian fellows that if you are a nurse and you have the skill, you are better off. You go to a community where there are no nurses, you can set up something on your own. If you have money and you go to a town where vehicles are not sold, you can buy vehicles and send there for sale. If you go to a place where there's a particular product that the people consume a lot, you can go and produce that product and send it there. That's a bigger form of it. That was just a basic example. Other examples could take place. If you go to a place where there are no computers. You can send computers there for sale. If you go to a place where people don't have electronic knowledge about anything, you can go and set up an industry there. It is to give perspective to the Ghanaian workforce, so we can find within ourselves the capacity and the means to earn a living. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further question?
Yeah, Chairman, just a follow-up on this one. Your explanation is clear. And then now I think you being sent to a ministry that will definitely have a responsibility of job creation, workers' welfare, and the rest. Will you consider the grass cutting and the stone gathering as part of the 24-hour economy to help reduce unemployment?
Honorable nominee, I wonder if you can cut grass in the night, but I will give you the floor.
Mr. Speaker, you know, somebody called me from his constituency the last time and said, you said something and people misunderstood you. And he said, I swear to you, I'm now a graduate because I grew up and saw my father carrying leaves for sale. I grew up, and as a student, I work on it, and it has helped me, and I'm a student. I'm a graduate from his constituency. But this is not the kind of 24-hour economy we are talking about. We are talking about every enterprise that will require work to produce resource, and you know that within the 24-hour period, you will still need to continue to work. Our policy is to support you to do so, to energize you to do so, to find the kind of incentive for you to be able to function properly and effectively, create more opportunity, and produce more. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, my
last question.
No, I only asked one, and this follow-up. So, Chairman, my question is the government, whether the government have any intention to increase salaries of public workers in 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, it's one of the key areas under negotiation right now. And I will be able to respond to it when I get into the ministry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, I won't ask any third question except to say that we wish you well, and we know you continue to guide us as you guide us. You always show leadership. Even coming back to the 9th Parliament, I was surprised because my sister Hajia Humu put a very spirited fight to take you off. But at the end of the day, you still show that you are a leader. But we beg you, don't come back again. Let Hajia Humu come back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Under the same provision in our standing order, I recognize Jerry Shaib.
Thank you very much, my very respected chairman. Mr. Chairman, just a follow-up on Honorable Ritana Odelesowe's issue on child labor. So we have about 160 million children involved in child labor globally. In Ghana, as we speak now, the percentage for child population between 5 to 17 years, it's about 21%, which is alarming. I recently watched a documentary on CNN, and it was somewhere in the Volta region, and it was specifically about fishing. I want to know, first of all, what accounts for this problem of child labor, in your view? And how do you practically intend to provide some solid solutions to child labor? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, a few years ago, Mensa Bonsu was still our majority leader. There emerged a problem with the European Union. The government wanted to address the problem. Mensa was asked to lead a group. He, along with my minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, were asked to go and to solve the problem. One of the key areas was that they won't buy our cocoa because we use child labor. We are transferring money into the European Union illegally, and et cetera, et cetera. So I went with the two, plus three other members of parliament, and we went to the European Union. Their key concern was with the issue of child labor. One of the solutions, one of the explanations we gave was that in Ghana, when a man is going to farm, they take their children and they go to work. When you go to see them, you don't say they are engaged in child labor. If a man is a blacksmith, and then he goes, or let me say, a plumber, and he's going to work, sometimes he gets the child to carry his things if he's on holidays, and they go and work and then come back. Now, it is a work culture, and that has progressed into present work conditions where people take their children to work. But beyond that is the fact that sometimes people particularly go for children and take them to rivers and sea to go and look for fish in very, very traumatic conditions. And I mean, tragic conditions, because sometimes they die and sometimes they beat them. Growing up becomes a problem. So it is part of the labor law, 2003 labor law 651, that we need to eliminate child labor in our workforce. And we need to make it a criminal offense so that nobody can do it and go free without reason, any reason at all. That will be given by the violator of using child labor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So definitely I will make sure it becomes a priority area in my commitment to create any value at the ministry. Thank you.
Honourable members, I was part of that delegation, and it was interesting to note that from the European Union Parliament to visit our ambassador, we saw a child and a father on a tractor plowing at Brussels. Thank you very much. Do you have any other question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I should have mentioned you because you were a key member of that group of people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My very respected Honorable Minister Designate, do you have a government land? Have you acquired a government land?
Mr. Chairman, whilst I was the ranking member for Lands and Forestry, at the end of, during the 4 years, we were informed that every single time the land committee was operating, at the end of the period, the Lands Commission would salute you, thank you by giving you a piece of land. So they offered us a piece of land. I have not acquired it yet. It's about some 4 years now. I have made attempts to acquire it. They are saying they will do the papers for me. I haven't got the papers yet. But I hope that if I make the necessary effort, I would acquire it. Thank you.
And I agree with you. I don't think it's a problem to have it at least engrossed in your name for the period you served on whichever committee you claim. Just my last question. we've had issues of foreigners in our workspace. And the complaints that we numerously get is the maltreatment to the Ghanaian people who are working for most of these foreigners. One of which is harassing them, another is beating them, another is underpaying them, and all manner of maltreatment. Is there any assurance from you that these people, under your watch, are going to be safer and better off wherever they are finding themselves? Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, human rights is one of the areas I particularly show direct interest. In fact, when I even watch television and I see people suffering elsewhere, it hurts me. And right in my own country, it is something I will want to enforce, that people must have rights to work, they must have right to safety, workplace abuses must not happen, it's against the law and should not happen. So in whatever way I can do to make sure we eliminate it, I will do it. So I have a personal attachment to safetiness and, and the rights of people, wherever they are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I then proceed to give the floor to Honorable Alassane Umar.
Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Alhaji, congratulations. I know with your demeanor and gentility, the Labor Ministry is going to be very calm, even though you're going to see a lot of agitations. My question to you is in relation to our manifesto, the resetting agenda. If you look at, I think, pages 26, it talks about National Employment Trust. And this National Employment Trust will fund SMEs operating 24-hour in the following sectors. All what I want to know is, are you prepared to help His Excellency implement this? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, His Excellency has great vision for this country, and I'm prepared, definitely, to be part of it, and I'm happy I'm being considered to be part of it. So the answer is yes.
Thank you, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mahama Shaibu.
Chairman, let me thank you for the opportunity. Honorable Dr. Alhaj, my senior bro, congratulations. A well-deserved nomination. Many on this table have recounted your very good attributes. Indeed, trust that I want to ask a question about your integrity and your competence that you have earned and you have backed it. What many don't know, and indeed the NDC needs to celebrate you, is that today, just like religion, that many people fought for religion that we worship freely today, you were the pioneer tertiary education institutions network called TAIN. Many in NDC do not know that you were the brain behind the formation of TAIN. I want to put it on record today that you ought and you deserve to be celebrated. I was happy many years ago to have worked under you as an executive when you were forming TAIN on the campus of University of Cape Coast. Thank you so much for that. We have said a lot. My learned friend Patrick took it through Act 651 on the harmonizing and then harassment. Let me move away from there briefly. My other learned colleague brought it to the labor front in terms of harassment by foreign entrepreneurs. Now let's go back to the external. In recent times, you will have companies advertising for labor for people to be sent abroad for greener pastures. Indeed, there are many of them dotted on the internet. Some you cannot even trace to their offices. Now, innocent Ghanaians will normally apply, pay huge sums of money. Now, for some, apart from being duped or defrauded, the unfortunate ones who will find their way out to these so-called greener pastures are subjected to horrifying conditions. And footages on social media for the past 3 years would show horrifying accounts of some Ghanaians who, in the name of labor, going for greener pastures, people take them there, they don't know what to do. They get there, their passports are confiscated, and they are subjected to various forms of
Honorable Shaibu, your question, please.
Honorable Minister nominee, I know this has been brought to your attention, or you have stated. Please tell us what you will do, what policy you would put in place to curb or curtail this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have already indicated that Act 651, 2003, labor law is very categorical in pointing out that child labor is unacceptable within the province and working environment in this country is not allowed. So the policy you are asking for will be defined in accordance with the principle of law stated very clearly in that respect. And I will want to make sure we enforce it to the letter, to the logical conclusion where people who are cited doing so will be punished in accordance with the law. So it will serve as warning to any other person who would be thinking of doing so, or who would be involved in doing in such a practice. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nominee, organized labor in recent times has not been that organized. Agitations here and there. Not sure whether it is a legislation problem or a question of practicality. You have studied the labor law. I know you have gone through it. What areas do you think are worth noting and looking at in response to organized labor? Thank you.
I think that it's normal in the stream of things to find people agitating for more, because society is dynamic. Changes occur all the time. The cedi, the worth of the cedi fluctuates. So as we go along, people are found not to be getting the worth of their input. So there are agitations and requests to increase and all that. So these things are normal. They will happen all the time. What we would do is to understand this trend of affairs, first of all, and then to now tackle the issues as and when they present themselves. It will not be easy to give any firm response to it at this particular instance. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, let me wish the honorable nominee Allah's blessings and Allah's guidance in your new role. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, I proceed to give the floor to Honorable George Kwaku Riget Hagan, Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to add my voice in congratulating my brother, Dr. Rashid Purple. Doc, congratulations. I'm going to just take you back just one question, and then maybe there'll be a follow-up if there need be. And I want to take you back to where Patrick left off in terms of the Act 766, which is that established the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. Now, I'm talking about the supervisory role of MPRA. You know, MPRA is supposed to be the supervisor of all the pension, schemes and institutions, including SNIT. SNIT was actually set up before the MPRA. Recent events that we are all aware that happened, at SNIT, which is quite unfortunate, in an attempt to offload some of its assets. And it looks as if the regulator hasn't really got a muscle to provide its supervisory role. Would you tell us what you will do to make sure that MPRA assume its rightful role of being the regulator of the pensions industry, including SNIT, which has obviously been around since inception and seems to be the bigger player in the industry? Thank you.
Well, the law has given MPRA a complete power of regulation of the operations of pensions, the scheme, at all levels, tier 1, 2, 3. And so I don't know what I can say beyond the law that provides it to produce those functions that it operates with. So I will only say that when I get in there, with your approval, I'm going to study further the issues to see whether it's exercising its full role or not, and if there are any lapses, whatever whatever can be done to help us, repair those lapses, I will definitely help to do it. It has to function as a regulator, and that function cannot be undermined and should not be undermined by anybody. Thank you.
Okay, then my other question, I was going to make it a follow-up, but I think I should make it a second question. And that is to do, again, with the Act. Since the new Pensions Act actually started, and because of the ratios that were done, SNIT now gets less money than it used to when it was dominant, the only and the dominant player in the industry. As a result of that, the contributions that come to SNIT looks like it's actually not adequate to pay for pensions, though it gets invested, to pay for people who are on retirement today. And that figure seems to be going down. And I think there had been, ILO had said that if care is not taken in the next 5 to 10 years, the payment of pension will become a difficult area for people who have gone on retirement. What is your view on that? I don't want to say opinion. What is your view on that, and what would you try and do when you get to the ministry to make sure that that issue is addressed? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, even before I take office, this thing was brought to my attention. I have investigated. I invited somebody to discuss it with me. He disputed the fact that the Senate is going down. He explained to me that at this very moment, Senate is beginning, payments of pensioners have matured and they are spending money. So the overall cash element of Senate is coming down. But also that because of the reducing value of the CD, it has an effect on the totality of the money that is available, the worth of it. But he said as they're paying and retiring people, more people are getting in, so Senate will not go down. But unfortunately, it does appear to me Senate is no longer part of the Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment. And so I will maybe work with the Minister for Finance so we can ensure that no lapses occur in that. Thank you.
Follow up on that. So let's get it clear. MPRA is still under Labor, Jobs and Employment, and SNIT is under Finance. Is that your understanding?
Yes, that is it.
No further question. I'm sure you will find out when you get there what the situation with our pension is. And I know and I trust that you will be able to resolve the problem. You have the demeanor, the calmness, the diplomacy, the temperament and everything that we, earlier people who asked you questions have mentioned. We all know that. And I have no doubt in my mind that you'll be able to deal with labor issues and all the things that come with it. I wish you well, and congratulations again, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will now give the floor to the Deputy Minority Leader, Deputy Ranking Member, and now available ranking.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm taking this opportunity to congratulate I'll call him my mentor. If anybody has been interested in my progress and my work in Parliament, I will name one person, that is Honorable Pepple, who has always been encouraging me, dragging me to committees, especially with the population census. We started together, and he was always encouraging me to do what is right and encouraging me to take up certain path. And I'm very grateful for that kind of encouragement. But we'll just have some few conversations as we move ahead. Because there are aspects of your life that people must know over there. Then I'm looking at your CV. And looking at your CV, I have one very interesting question for you. Honorable, you are a Muslim. Should I confirm that from you? Are you a Muslim?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Since this is a house of record, I just saw on your CV that you are married without telling me whether it's 1, 2, or 3, or whether you're going to add me to the bunch that are already out there. So you are married. How many wives do you have, please?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two wives in my life.
Thank you very much. And you are sure the 6 children are all the declared property? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I have 5 from one very committed, dedicated woman, a lawyer, and the second one from another one who is also a very committed, dedicated lady.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nomni. Honorable Nomni, I also noticed that you can speak so many languages, about 4. 4 languages, about 4. And you have rightly described them, because I don't think I've ever heard you speak French, but you indicated it's a fair spoken, but you also wrote that you can read and write. But you use the word fair. How fair is your French in terms of writing, the writing of French and then the speaking of it?
Yeah, I studied French in secondary school up to a point. But when I was reading my master's for international affairs, I chose French as a language of study. So I have fair knowledge of French, just fair.
This is on the lighter side. I'm looking at your publications. You have written very interesting books. The first one is The True Meaning of Life. And the second one is a review of the George Orwell's Animal Farm and Chinua Achebe's Man of the People. I'm sure most of us here have gone through the phase of reading these books. Would you like to share the import of all these publications? I think it will be a very interesting thing for us all to know. Thank you very much, each of them. Thank you.
Well, True Meaning of Life is a collection of poems. I write a lot of poems. It's my first publication on the poetry I write. I pick it from the political life of Ghanaians, political life of the people I meet. Poetry is about inspiration and recount of the inspiration in manners that you believe will be comported, but if read, can be expanded in the minds of people. So I have written about philosophy, the philosophy of life in the book, poems on that, about love, about Africa, and the challenges we face as a people. Those are all captured in poetry and are in that book. I can give, the book has been studied, has been reviewed and approved for the GES. I sent it to them, they reviewed it, and it's been approved for GES. Just that I haven't gone ahead to get it published and spread in that direction. Then the next one you mentioned is about the George Orwell and then Chinua Achebe's Man of the People. If you look at it, you see you write is Rashid Pelpo et al., meaning with others, with somebody else. Because of my deep love of poetry, of the arts, I've read a lot. And in those books, you will find that each of them treats a life of society from the political perspective, and how that, when you read it, it shapes up in defining how society looks like. So I picked it out from there, and then got the political sphere they point to. And then this other guy who I worked with also put the artistic value in it. And so you have an article published in one of the best journals in the world.
Thank you for sharing that. On page 2 of your CV, I would say the third item, which is the international appointments and positions. I noticed that you are still holding the position of the African Parliamentarian Forum on Population and Development. And then you are still also holding on the Global Climate Alliance position. What does that mean in terms of your current appointment? Does it mean you are going to step down, or you still hold the position, or you are going to make a recommendation for some members of parliament to continue the good works which you have done? Thank you.
Yeah, on the African Parliamentarians Forum on Population and Development, I was elected in Ethiopia, and African countries involved who sent their representatives, and I presented myself, first elected as the West African president, and then I got onto the African scene and was elected as the president for African Parliamentarians Forum. But it's a 3-year term and ends this year. I don't hope to continue. I don't hope to contest again. I will encourage somebody else to contest. In fact, I won it for the rest of West Africa, not just for Ghana. I was elected as presented by West Africa. I contested the elections and won. So if I'm not the president now, possibly the president is going to come from South Africa, because at a point they stepped down for me. They could have challenged me, but after presentations and all the others, they decided not to contest me. So possibly they will come on board. The president will come from South Africa, possibly. So, but the other one, I was appointed an envoy for Africa for climate change in Egypt at the Climate Change Festival or conference. And it was just for 2 years. So, but after a point, yeah, so I've given up that one. It's no longer going to be a bother to me at all.
Thank you for your explanation. And Honorable, let's go on to the substantive issues. Can you recollect that we have passed the affirmative action bill into law?
Yes, I affirm.
Honorable nominee, have you had a second look at that bill, or have you critically examined that law? Sorry.
Well, I was part of the making of that law. I contributed in making it. But after it has been passed, I haven't laid hands on it yet, so I haven't looked at it critically.
The reason why I'm asking you this question is that I want to create the awareness that you have a critical role to play in the implementation of the law. So, my humble advice, I don't think I'm going to further ask you any question. Some of the questions have already been put by but my humble advice is to take up the law again and then try and study it. Because one of the things that we are pursuing to do is not to see the law as a mere document we will be lying on the shelves following. I think as early as this year, we should start the implementation, because the implementation has all kinds of... A question was put to you earlier on about how you can ensure that we have a balance in terms of employment, that we can have a balance in that. If you don't put on your gender lens, I don't think that particular question in which you answered will be achieved as reality. So that is what I want. So what can you assure this House how you're going to ensure that the affirmative action law is widely implemented? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have already stated very clearly that I'm a pro-gender person. I like to see equity in all aspects of our lives. I like to see the youth, women, men, the adults, and the young person all viewed within a space where none is discriminated against unfairly. And by the dictates of the law, the labor law, it is stated very, very clearly that we need to work to eliminate any kind of discrimination in the practice of engaging our labor force. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure her that as far as my ability can go, I'm going to make sure that equity is projected very high. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, there is one aspect of this assurance that I want you to re-emphasize. You agree with me that maybe it's because you haven't gone through the law again, that you agree with me that implementing ministry will be the gender ministry. So it will require some collaboration. So I want to bring to your attention that there should always be the eye to collaborate with the gender ministry to ensure it's fully implemented. And I don't have any doubt at all that you are going to be the pillar behind the good implementation of the affirmative action law. But let's come to child labor again. Child labor across the country, street hawking in the cities, farming with kids in rural areas, minors engaging in mining communities are some of the instances where kids are being exploited. UNICEF's 2023 report shows that nearly 28% of children aged between 5 and 17 are involved in the child labor. Around 21% of child laborers are engaged in hazardous working conditions. Subsequently, Ghana launched Ghana Accelerated Action Plan Against Child Labor in for 2023 to 2027 to address the issue. Honorable nominee, are you aware of this Ghana Accelerated Action Plan Against Child Labor? If yes, what strategies do you have to ensure the country attains the plan's objectives? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the ministry has already got an approach, a policy approach to it, and I understand it coincides with our overall perspective of how to fight child labor and how to ensure that we liberate our children from the evil of dragging them into a workspace that they don't belong. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to examine that policy. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'll look at that policy, and then if there's a need for review, we review it and make sure we implement it to the letter. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Honorable nominee, according to the National Labour Commission, There were 27 industrial actions. 27 industrial actions were recorded in 2024. Out of the 27 industrial actions, 21 of these actions occurred in the public sector, with 14 specifically from the tertiary education sector, representing 66% of the industrial actions recorded or threatened by workers in the public sector. How do you intend to mitigate this frequent labor strikes actions in the country?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I've indicated, there are already laid down rules that you follow to tackle these challenges with organized labor. And we are going to follow those existing rules. We have key individuals who are well baked in these things. I'm going to work with them. I'm going to ensure that we understand ourselves. A key and major factor in addressing labor issues is to listen to them and to appreciate what they are asking for. And I think I have the composure to do so, to listen to them, to empathize with them, to go along with them, and to let them understand the realities of the times. And as Ghanaians, I know they understand that with the key reality of the kind of public sector we are running, and the fact that